Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading with Rory Gilmore for a week. This is actually part 2 to a series on my channel where I read through the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge. There's a ton of these on the internet, but I found mine on Pinterest just because it has a cute little check off that you can like check off the little boxes as you read the books. But I showed you that in my last video, so I'm not going to show you again. But like I said, there's a ton on the internet and most of them are slightly different. The one I have has 339 books on it. So I've actually read through 39 out of the 339, so I obviously have a long way to go. The first book that I'm starting with is actually a DNF, but it's a DNF from a couple years ago that I always knew I would get back to eventually. It's just a very long book and it's a classic, which is not something I pick up super often, and also I feel like with classics they typically put in a ton of plot lines, and like I would rather them just be multiple books than a bunch of plot lines within one book. That's just me. But I'm gonna start Karenina by Tolstoy. I've been switching between the audiobook and the ebook and I'm 6% of the way through. Also, the fact that this audiobook is 33 hours long is so crazy to me. Like, this book is gonna take me forever to finish. But also it reminds me of that audio that's like, is it ever really this deep? Like, I want to know, is it gonna be this deep? Like, did it have to be 33 hours? And you know what? I am going into this a little biased because one, I did DNF it already, and two, it's a classic. I feel like classics are always longer than they need to be. Not always. Some classics are very short. Wow, I'm just a classics hater right now. I think that's just because this book is so hard to get through. I'm not normally a classics hater. This book is making me feel like I'm going to finish it and then I'm going to Google an explanation to the ending. I'm gonna need it explained to me, or it's gonna end on such a crazy note that I'm gonna be like, did I really just read what I just read? Like, I'm not gonna say the ending obviously, but when I read 1989, I was like, oh, no way I just read what I just read. So I had to Google it. Oh, also when I read Iron Flame, I was the same way. I was like, ain't no way I just read what I just read. So I had to Google it because I don't trust myself. I was like, I need someone to tell me that I actually just read this, that this is actually for real. Every time I hear the name Kitty, I cannot take this character seriously. I'm realizing I never talked about what this book is about, and from what I can gather so far, it is about a woman who is married but falls in love with another man. So pretty much like her love affair? Is that correct? Is that the right word? I don't know why I'm blanking, but you guys know what I mean. And then I guess like something bad is supposed to happen along the way. And I think we got a little bit of the bad part already. Well, obviously I'm not gonna tell you what that is. Okay, since I don't have the physical copy of this book, I was curious because the audiobook is like 33 hours long. So I was like, how many pages are in this book? I Google it and it says there's 1,174 pages in this book. That cannot be for real. No way. That's literally the longest book I've ever laid eyes on, if that's the case. Oh, but also when I scroll down, it says like 864, 880. I guess maybe it depends on the version that you have because this was originally written in Russian. There's a lot of different translations out, like for the English translation, which is obviously what I'm reading. I don't know Russian, unfortunately. That would be cool. But because of that, there's a bunch of different versions, but I don't see how you could take 1,200 pages and make it 800 pages because that's a big difference. I don't know. Either way, that's a big book. Honestly, if I was sitting down and reading this, I don't think I would make it. So the audiobook might be saving me from DNFing this again. Like, I want to know what happens, but I don't want to sit down and read it. That's also partially because I hate when I can't pronounce names in books. And listening to the audiobook, I obviously don't have to worry about that because, you know, all the names are Russian. So like, I don't know how to pronounce them. Well, I do now that I've listened to the audiobook. They're a little harder to pronounce and they always use full names, which is so crazy to me. I haven't updated a ton because I just don't know how I feel, and truly I'm really remembering why I DNF'd this book. I'm gonna keep pushing it through because I've barely listened to any more than I've read last time. Like last time I think I got to like 25% or something like that, so I'm gonna keep going and see if anything changes. I'm either getting the characters confused or the main guy in this book is a little bit of a hypocrite, but I think I'm confused. Odds are I'm confused. I have been straight up non-stop listening to this audiobook today. Like 5 or 6 hours today has been dedicated to listening to this audiobook, and I'm listening at 2.25 times speed. So I'm already 68% of the way through, which is so crazy. Wait, actually it's 4 o'clock right now. I started listening to the audiobook around 8, paused it a couple times, but not like a ton. So yeah, I've been listening for a really long time today because like I've been saying, I don't really have a lot of feelings towards this book. Like I'm at a point now where I'm more interested in it than I was earlier, but it's also like I don't care a ton about it. Like when I put it down, I'm not still thinking about it. So I don't know. I'm definitely gonna finish though because I'm 68% of the way through. So at this point, I'm like, yeah, let me finish. And also I'm like plowing through this book like it's nobody's business. So definitely gonna finish it, and I'm not hating it, just not loving it. So we'll see, maybe my feelings will change. I am so determined to finish this audiobook today that I've opened my eyes less than 5 minutes ago and I'm listening to it right now because I'm so close to finishing it. And I'm like, also I'm really ready to start my next book because I finally picked out my next read. I finally finished Karenina, and I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star, surprisingly, because I can appreciate what the book was trying to do, but I don't think the book was for me. As someone that doesn't very often read classics, not a super big fan of classics, I just don't think the book was for me, and I obviously was not the intended audience when it was written. And also, since it was written in Russian, there are some like Russian customs in the book, which like I don't know anything about Russian customs, so I'm sure there's more than what I even noticed, but those went over my head. And I somehow knew in the first like 30% of the book how the book was going to end, and I was correct. Like a pretty big chunk of how the book ended I knew at the beginning, but I like kept telling myself that I was definitely wrong. Like there's no way that I know already how this book's gonna end, but I did. So his foreshadowing is like very obvious. I think there's 3 Jane Austen books on this list, and I just got her whole set of books in the Penguin Classics cloth-bound editions. So I think it's Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. I can't remember the last one, but that's the one that I wanted to read and I accidentally left it at my apartment. So that's really sad. But as you can probably tell, I'm going to read Pride and Prejudice, which I know actually nothing about this book, which is shocking because I'm pretty sure Pride and Prejudice is a movie now. I don't know. I don't even know how I fill all of my time. Like I haven't read so many books. Like there's so many books that I just have yet to read. So many movies and TV shows I have yet to watch. Like what am I doing with my time? I don't know, but we're gonna read this one. We're gonna try another classic. And for my 3rd book, it's not gonna be classics, but I'm really hoping that Libby, my hold comes like the book becomes available soon so that I can read it because I really want to read that book. But it still says about 2 weeks wait, so we'll see if it comes here in time, and if not, I have a backup book. Don't worry. Was Kitty just a really popular name back in the day? Because why have 2 classics that I've read, 2 books in a row, have the name Kitty in it? It's such a random name, at least to me. Also, this dad is not shy to say who his favorite daughter is. It was like 3 pages in and he's like, yeah, give the rich man to this daughter. I'm like, you're not even trying to pretend that she's not your favorite daughter. That's crazy. I find it interesting that we used to call women handsome and nowadays we only typically call men handsome. Also, Darcy is really annoying me right now because why is he trying to find flaws in the way women look? Like purposely really digging for them. And it's like, what are you doing? The next day, I'm on chapter 20 at page 108. And honestly, I'm liking it so far. I love that it has short chapters and it's very much giving just plain historical fiction vibes, as in like, it almost reminds me of writing that's written today, but obviously a little bit different because it's, you know, it obviously wasn't written today. But I do like that because for me, I'm not like thinking super hard and trying to like really analyze the text, you know, I'm just kind of enjoying it for what it is. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far, but honestly, I don't know if I'm getting the full story out of it, you know what I mean? Like for me, I feel like it's about a mom and the sisters and they're trying to marry them off, which is I feel like the gist of it, at least of what I'm getting so far, but I'm gonna keep reading because I'm sure there's more about to unfold. I was not expecting to have a visceral reaction to this book, but my jaw just dropped. Literally, I was reading and I was like, okay. I know I said earlier that this book doesn't seem far off from books that are written today, but you know what? I feel like I'm missing parts of it. And that's the main difference. Like normally I don't feel like I'm missing parts of the story. Like I feel like I normally understand everything that's in a book until I read a classic. At least I don't feel like I'm understanding everything unless it's just like super low stakes and it's kind of like, you know, we're just worried about getting our kids married, you know? But I truly don't believe that at 40% of the way through the book that it's still about that. But I am sensing a little bit of tension and I'm wondering, is this book enemies to lovers before enemies to lovers was even a thing? Before enemies to lovers had a name to it? I don't know. This is also coming from someone that has absolutely no idea of the storyline before going into it, because I feel like at this point so many people have read this book. It's been a movie, so many people have seen the movie. Basically what I'm getting at is that a lot of people know what the book is about before even like going into it. Me? No, not me. Anyways, hoping to finish this book today and the next book because tomorrow I'm getting my wisdom teeth out and I will not be up for filming this. So we'll see how today goes. I don't know if I said this already, but you know what also makes me giggle? The fact that there's a character named Jane and it's like Jane Austen really just like put herself in the book. At least she put her name in the book and that cracks me up. Something you should know about me is that I love historical fiction, as in like historical fiction written about lords and ladies. And I know at the time it was written, it was not historical fiction, but now that it's 2024, it kind of reads like historical fiction, but just obviously written slightly differently, which is normally my main problem with classics. The writing is harder to read just because I'm not used to that kind of writing style, because I definitely used to write a lot differently back in the day than we do now, and I'm sure in like 100 years from now we're going to be writing differently than we do today. But I love reading about lords and ladies. There's just something about it that just hits right. I feel like this video has become a Morgan tries to read classics video, but I promise my last book is not a classic. And I know I mentioned I have two options, but my hold still has not come undone on Libby, or unheld. I don't know what you would say, but whatever. So I know what my next read is going to be, but I'll read the other book later. Don't worry. I'll tell you later because I still have a little bit of hope. Anyways, I've now switched to the audiobook for now. I'm 59% of the way through, or chapter 41, and I am loving this audiobook because the narrator has a British accent and I feel like the British accent just works perfectly with this book. And honestly, when I was reading the physical copy of the book, in my head they had British accents, so it just works, you know, it just works and I'm loving it. Her voice is perfect. Okay, I just finished Pride and Prejudice. I also look like this because I just went on a run. Oh, the lighting here is so bad right now. But like I said, just finished Pride and Prejudice. I feel like I haven't sat with my thoughts for long enough to like fully tear apart this book and give it my review, but I'm gonna try, okay? Because I'll just update you later if I change my mind, like later in this video, I'll let you know. But I think right now it's sitting at like a 3.5 or 4. Honestly, I kind of wish that I took my time and read this book throughout multiple weeks, but also at the same time I really wanted to read it. But since I've consumed so much content about this time period, the imagery in my head was beautiful, perfect, amazing. But Jane Austen does not write descriptions at all. Well, sometimes she does, but it's like rarely. At least in this book. I act like I've read any of her other books. I have not. I own them all, but I have yet to read them all. But I do love the way she writes, and I actually really appreciate the fact that she doesn't write these long descriptions, because that can be so just mundane for me in a classic when they just go on and on and on. I can't do it. Okay, I can't do it. So I actually really appreciated that, and like I said before, I love this time period, reading about this time period, the lords and the ladies, and I actually kind of find it funny, or funny might be the wrong word. I don't really know what the right word is, but I think you know what I mean. Like, I just find it funny that they are so consumed with wealth, and it's just interesting to read because obviously we live in a very, very, very different time, and obviously this is a fiction novel, but it was written so long ago that it definitely portrays a lot of how they thought and lived back like way back in the day. So I did really like it. I don't know if I said my rating or not. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It might change though, so So that's what I'm saying. Like, my thoughts might change because I did really enjoy it. And I actually really want to watch the movie now as well because, like I said, the imagery in my head was stunning. Okay, let's move on. I feel like I've talked enough about this book. I'm like, oh, I have no thoughts. And then I just talked for like 10 minutes. Let's move on. I mentioned earlier that was my last classic for this video because first off, I'm classiced out. I need a break from the classics. 2 in a row. That was a lot for me. So, of course, you know me, I went to Libby and I went to my little PDF of the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge and I said, okay, what can I get on Libby? Now, I'm gonna tell you the book that I really wanted to read, but it's still sitting on hold for me and I'm so upset about it. But obviously I'm still gonna read it. It just won't be in this video. That is My Sister's Keeper. That book is also a movie now and I saw the trailer for the movie and I was like, whoa, this looks so good. And I got really close to renting the movie and then I discovered that it was a book and I was like, no, I have to read the book first. That's like the rule. That's like the law, you know? The book that I did pick out to read that is actually available on Libby that we're about to start right now is When the Emperor Was Divine. And honestly, all I know about this book is that it is historical fiction and it follows a family that goes through the Japanese internment camps. So it's gonna be a rough read. It's gonna be hard, gut-wrenching for sure. But I do enjoy books like this. I think I mentioned that already. I am actually really big on historical fiction. I don't read it a ton, but I feel like when I do read it, I end up enjoying it. I can't look at myself in the viewfinder like this anymore. But yes, it's also a shorter book. The audiobook is only 3 hours. I'm gonna probably just sit down and read the whole thing, like the physical copy, because I borrowed both. But yes, let's go read it and then actually let's go shower and then let's go read and I'll tell you guys more about this book as I get there because like I said, I don't really know much about it. All I know is that it takes place during the Japanese internment camps. So let's go read it. Already 20% of the way through the book and that's because I looked it up. It's only 168 pages and whenever I'm reading on Libby I'm like, I never know how many pages it is. So of course I looked it up and I was like, how did I manage to get 28% already? That's why. It's a very short book, but they're currently on the train to go to the camps. It hasn't said where they're going yet, but the summary in the back of the book does say where they're going. So, well, I don't have the back of the book. The summary on Amazon says that. But yeah, literally no one has had a name so far, which is so interesting. It's such like a good, I feel like it's really gonna portray what they go through, you know what I mean? At the beginning, this book gives you literally no details about the family, but I feel like that kind of makes it a little bit more captivating because you want to read more to like get to know them. We were following the main girl for a while and now we're following the boy, but for some reason I just was not expecting the switch. That's sad. Mom had the kids pretend that they were Chinese and not Japanese, like before they were sent to camp, because we keep getting random flashbacks, like random memories. I'm already 70% of the way through the book, but like I said, it's such a short book that I'm like flying through it. But it's pretty sad. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what's going on, obviously, because I'm already 70% of the way through. But like, it's not like nothing's happened specifically to make it sad, but it's still sad. You know? Look, this is me and Albie right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I love my cat so much. You are so beautiful. She's posing for you guys. I just finished When the Emperor Was Divine. It was such a quick read. I think I read it in probably, I don't know, an hour and a half to 2 hours. It was so fast. But like I said, it was like less than 200 pages, so that's definitely why. But it definitely was not what I was expecting. I kind of said before that I was expecting something super gut-wrenching and that I would just be very sad after. And it was a very sad book, but because it was so short, I couldn't get connected to the characters in a way that would make me completely devastated. I don't know how else to describe it other than saying that. It was still really good and there was a lot of symbolism in the book, which I really appreciated, but also because of the amount of symbolism that was in it, I felt like it was giving me vibes that it would have been a book that we would read in school and like really dissect it, because there's definitely a lot that you could dissect in that book, but because I was just reading it for fun, I'm not gonna sit and dissect it. You know, like in my head, I'm picturing annotating and I'm picking out the themes like you would for for English classes. But with all of that being said, I still really enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give this a 3-star. Yeah, we'll stay with a 3-star for now. That feels right for now. Like I said, if anything changes, you guys will be the first to know. But I'm happy with all of the books I read. None of them were super bad. If I was to rank them, I think Karenina would be my least favorite, and then When the Emperor Was Divine, and then Pride and Prejudice. I just loved Pride and Prejudice. Like I've said probably 1.5 million times in this video, that time period is my favorite to read about. I love reading about rich lords and ladies. I would do it all the time if I could. That is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!